Hello, everybody. It's Professor Liebler from the English 1020 Fall 2021 online class. I wanted just to make this brief video to give you quick instructions of how to jumpstart this research paper, this creative, investigative type of research paper. In general, I think you're going to find it a pretty interesting project. It will probably keep your attention in the way that a lot of these suspense crime television shows on Netflix and Prime and Hulu and everywhere are taking place, and on regular network TV. They, what is it, NCIS or something like that shows. That's what students have compared the project to. You're going to be, each of you will be assigned a case that I will show you where to find your case once it is up and open on Canvas. You'll see a case, a year, and just a sentence or two about the crime itself, or in most cases, unfortunately, the murder. Now, none of these take place after, I think, 1928. So I believe, now there may be some that are, but none of them are crimes that you likely have heard of before, other than the Emmett Till case, which has been getting a lot of publicity, which means there's more and more sources available for you. So I'm going to pull up and share with you real quick and just kind of walk through the roadmap, which will be up on assignment 3. This is the big paper. Let me share the screen and show you. Okay, so here's the assignment under number 3, the creative investigative research paper. It should be 10 to 12 pages, double spaced, 12-inch font. And this is important. We will be exclusively using MLA versus APA or some form that you kind of make up yourself. So this is important. That's just the Modern Language Association. It's the citation method that is used in all English classes, and you may have worked with it before. A lot of students at Wayne in other fields are used to the APA method, which is a little more detailed and actually a little more complex. I'll probably do a little talk on just MLA citations and how it works in the paper and so forth as we go along. So this will be post number 1 introduction to this process. The easy way to kind of go to it is to hit EasyBib, and it won't come up here, of course, but it should. Just put into your search engine easybib.com. Oh, I see there's 2 periods there. That's why it's not working. I'll correct that. So you just click on this. The other aspect is, as you look up the many sources you'll be required to at least look into and find out about at Wayne State through the library, you can now, if you look on the page, you'll see click for citation, and they'll often make it click for citation of MLA or APA. I don't know if it has some of the other versions that are out there. Chicago style manual is another form, but that's pretty old school. It's some majors use it, especially like in art history and so forth. That's the old fashioned, many of you probably don't even know about footnotes. That's the old footnote method. But we're going to do MLA, Modern Language Association. So here's the list of the students. You can click on this and you'll see. I'll do that very quickly here just to show you while we're on the page what it looks like, and then point out how you're going to receive this information. What you'll see is, as I mentioned, the time, the year. So it looks like our cases are going to go through 1963, probably the year most of you were born, I would think. I'm kidding. Okay, so it looks like they're going to start at 1915, but this is what each person will get: the name of the case. And then look right here is another tip that's thrown in. Was Dr. Moore shot by 2 men who tried to rob him, or did his wife have him killed to inherit his fortune? Now, this says short case. Short case isn't quite what you think it might be. It doesn't mean it's a short case in the sense of development and how we're going to approach this paper. In fact, since these were all kind of created, there's much, much more information on all of these cases. I'll hope to point some of this out. I'm looking at this one here. There should be 2 D's on it. Grace Budd murder, 1928. This is sort of the Albert Fish story. That's the guy's name. I'm not kidding you. And he's convicted of murder and cannibalism. Well, there's a lot of stuff out there now on the Grace Budd case, 1928, that you'll be looking for and you'll be searching. So mostly you get a case, you get a year, you get some names attached to it. I'll correct some of these mistakes, like Grace Budd is 2 D's, B-U-D-D. And Albert Fish, his last name is really Fish. You will then start to search and track down initially as much as you can, as many different sources as you can, cribbing notes of what those sources are, cutting and pasting them into some kind of draft document for yourself. And you'll kind of start looking at them. Most of them are going to be newspaper articles. There will be some magazine articles. Then there will be some journals, and I'll talk about that as we go through the process. And there will also be nowadays, there'll be some YouTube stuff. There's probably podcasts out there. There'll be photographs and other information on the internet. A lot of these things were not available actually when we first started this project many years ago. So I just want to make you aware that nowadays things with these cases has really exploded thanks to the internet. I think this whole concept was thought of well before the internet was available. So we have so much more that we can work with now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the assignment here. And I want to just show you now the roadmap for the paper. And I'm going to pull it up here. This is the basic roadmap. Now, the paper may seem to be long, impossible, a major burden, but trust me, it really isn't, because most people want to find out what happened in their case, what impact it had, what the results were. Did they catch the guy? There's a whole thing on Netflix now called Unsolved Mysteries. Whether it was solved, unsolved, some of them are not. Some of them aren't solved back in the time period, but in subsequent years. So you might have like 1915, nothing was just, it wasn't solved in 1915, but lo and behold, in 1952, some guy was arrested and he, spilled his guts to the police and he was the murderer type of thing. That can happen. I'm not saying it does. That's for you to find out as you start to look at it. When you go to writing the paper, basically we're going to follow this loosely. There's some room to shorten or lengthen things, but you're going to have a little introduction. You're going to tell the basic backstory, which of course would be the biggest part of the paper. You tell the story basically. And I guess at this point I should say, this is really not a paper like the papers that we've done. So this is not a paper that necessarily has a thesis sentence and support ideas. This is kind of a straightforward research narrative that you're working on. And if you're confused by that, please ask me about it and I'll further explain it to you. And if anything I'm saying right now is a little too much and not clear, then ask me and I'll either talk to you via the Canvas mail. And let's use the Canvas mail, by the way. Something's happened with my Wayne State email forwarding it to my other address. So you're going to talk about in a part of it, a section about the key figures and the roles that they play. This could be murder suspects, it could be family, it can be police officers, and so on and so forth, if they factor in. And then the impact of it. And I'm giving you these basic pages so you understand what we're shooting for. So in the end, we're going to be shooting for a paper that is between 9 and 15 pages long. And that would be in the actual writing of it, double space, 12 font, and all that sort of thing. So, you know, if you're like at 9.5 or 8.5, you know, that's not going to be the end of the world unless there's information missing. I'm pretty familiar with all these cases as I've been working with them through the years. And then, you know, that would equal a 12 to 18 page paper, because usually when you look at my samples that I have available, usually the works cited with the sources I'm going to point out come out to 2.5, 3 pages of listings in the MLA fashion. These are the sources that you're going to look for. This stuff will start to really play more of a role, I would think, in a couple of weeks into your searching. But these are what you ought to be collecting and making notes of. Try to find 2, 3 or more books. Try to find 3 to 5 journals, magazines, journals that might be related to it. For example, a journal on law might have some detailed essay or article about one of these cases. Film or video, you know, nowadays you can find many, but I'm saying 1 to 3 at least. Newspapers, this is going to be your largest area. And fortunately, this whole paper can be done online. So that's kind of a good thing nowadays. In the old days, it couldn't have been, but now you're able to do it. And you can find all of this stuff. I'll show you where to start with it. Lectures, interviews, again, now podcasts, you know, there's all of these murder podcasts that people are listening to. Various websites. For example, I just saw a website while I was looking at the Albert Fish case. There's actually, and I'll find the link for you, there's actually a crime museum website that could be very useful to you. Maybe not for everybody, but for many. So 2 to 4 different websites, depending on the case. 1 to 3 others, it's called, you know, photos, although I don't want a paper full of pictures, but photos can be used. You know, you may have a map of the crime scene. You might find some charts, information on the time period. We'll talk about that too. So in the end, you're going to have 25 to 30 sources. I think the best way to do it is to go to the, let me just move this over here. Go to the library page, and there's a ladybug on my computer. Go to the, it keeps coming back. Okay. The library page at Wayne State. This is it here. This is where you're going to start. And the quickest thing to do is, you know, just let's just take a case that probably most of you have heard about, the Charles Manson case, murders. And I'll show you how this works. Now, this will pull up all kinds of articles, and you don't have to read all of this stuff, but this is how you start accumulating. Now, you can accumulate just by highlighting, cutting, and pasting so you know what's out there. But right here, you see in articles, there's 1,587 articles. It's showing you a couple of them here. Here are some digital commons dealing with the Manson murders. Here's books and media. There's plenty of that on this case, but nobody has this case, so don't worry. And it says view more results. There's 2 more results. These are famous books, and there's many, many more. There's all kinds of film too. Digital collections, journals, and so forth. Probably the newspaper stuff is all going to be come up in under articles, as you can see, Los Angeles Times. And if you click on the 1500 more, it comes up like this. And off to the side here, we'll show you, like, let's say you use this source. You can click the quotation marks, you can export it or print it. Let's see, showing results. So you could export it as an easy bib doc or whatever. And as you go through this, what it will do is it just print everything that you need to have related to this. So this is the beginning of the process. It's not a hard process. It's not a tedious process. It will take you a little while to, uncover these things. But the first step is, one, go to the library page that I've included on another piece of paper somewhere here. But it's just the Wayne State page. You can go in the library if you're on campus and do it, or you can just do the whole thing from home. Okay. So this is the start of it. I've also included, just for our purposes here, I've included what an A paper looks like. Nobody has these cases. One semester we got a little bit more contemporary with the Oakland County child murders. But I'm showing you a couple of what I think are A papers and what were, or a B plus paper, a B minus C plus paper. So you can see the shortcomings. All of these papers, when you look close at them, they will have, and I'm just opening this one, they will have off to the side some useful quotes of information that that you might find helpful. I'm not sure why that's not happening here so much, unless you have to click on it. Yeah, there you go. So you'll find things that say, don't, this is general information. Let me point that out. General information is not something you have to cite. General information is the kind of information anybody who is remotely familiar or looked at a couple of newspaper articles on your case, information they would know. Like, they would know the year of the crime. They would know the date the crime happened. They would know where the crime happened. These are things you don't have to cite and waste a quote. And I'll do a little talk on what to quote, when to quote. But the first step is, as I mentioned, getting started with this, and by going to the library, putting your case in. And what you'll find is, when you enter a name of the case, you might find other names involved in that case. You want to look them up too, and run those leads down and see what it might yield for you. And of course, you'll want to look into the future too, because, as I mentioned, sometimes a case will happen in 1915 and it doesn't get solved until 1930. That sort of thing can happen. I don't know off the top of my head if it is happening for anybody's case. All right, well, that's the start of the paper. Everything that you pretty much need is going to be under the assignment, which is number 3, the creative investigative paper. All of these cases have been done before. If you're not finding information, then you need to look in other places for it. You can touch base with me. This is kind of common at first. People say, I can't find anything. Well, they're usually not looking and tracing the crime to where it might have happened and how it happened and that sort of thing. So all of them have been done before, and they're successful. They're interesting. And I just think you'll probably find this way more interesting than doing a research paper on, education in America or something like that. But you'll also, if you do it right, you'll get a good workout doing library research at the college level. Okay. I will also down here attach a simple rubric. It tells you what I'm looking for, what I think makes a good paper, and you can look that over. along with the comments in some of these papers. Okay. All right. That's my talk for today. And again, I'm available to talk. We can come online with a handful of people. You can reach out to Savannah, the peer mentor, and we'll all help you with this, and help you to get a good grade on this paper, which is pretty easy to do. You got to kind of go out of your way not to do well on this, meaning you don't start writing it until the night before it's due, which it will be due at the end of the semester in December. The due dates and everything are on the assignment. Okay, I'll talk to you soon, and do email me, but let's do it through Canvas to be safe. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.